The Baltimore Ravens are 1-5. I don't know how to react to this. I don't know how to feel about this. If there's anything to describe what has happened over these first 6 games, it has been nothing short of disappointing, nothing short of embarrassing, nothing short of disgraceful, but more so, nothing short of shocking. And it's interesting to say that I am shocked by how bad this team is this year, because we knew the Ravens defense had issues. They had issues last year when Zachary Orr took over. We had those problems, and we all said our defense will be the reason why we don't go far in the playoffs. They were able to make some adjustments, patch up some holes, and at least improve the defense down the stretch. Then again, they were going up against weaker competition towards the end of the year, so that does kind of play a role there. But still, they improved defensively as the season went on. Coming into this year, the hope is that they figured out their issues. They've got more talent on the defense now. Zachary Orr year 2 with a bunch of help, this defense is going to be better. So it's shocking to see how bad this defense has been through 6 games, because we expected the defense to at least show some sort of improvement. The defense this year is drastically worse than the defense last year. They're still on pace to giving up the most points of any defense in NFL history. That is insanity. I would have never imagined that the start of this season would be a defensive team that gives up multiple games of 35 plus points. And because the defense is so poor, we go on to lose those games where they're giving up 35 plus points. I came into the season with no expectations. I've been doing that for a while now because I know how this team is. There's no point in putting expectations in these guys because they always find a way to disappoint you. The only way they can prove, or not even prove people right, but the only way they can honestly gain anybody's trust legitimately is by getting it done. This team cannot be trusted. So I came into the season with no expectations. But damn, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this team to give up a 15-point lead with 4 minutes left to go against the Buffalo Bills. I didn't expect to see this team get manhandled on Monday Night Football by the Detroit Lions, in which our defense gave up not one, but 2 95-plus yard touchdown drives in our own house. I did not expect to see this team look so poor. And I understand that the start to our schedule was going to be tough. 5 of the first 6 games we were playing were against playoff teams that were in the postseason last year. So I knew this was going to be a tough start to the season. But you have Lamar Jackson, you've got Derrick Henry, you've got that high-octane offense. If the defense can respond, worst case scenario, 3-3. Best case scenario, 5-1, maybe 6-0. That was within the realm of a lot of Ravens Flocks fans' predictions. At worst, 3-3. At best, 5-1, if not 6-0. Though no one really saw us going 6-0. We all expected to lose to Kansas City because we always lose to Kansas City. Until they show us a reason to believe they can beat the Chiefs, we're not picking them to beat the Chiefs because they've given us no reason. There's no evidence to back up why they can beat Kansas City because they haven't been able to do it. He did it one time, like 4 years ago. That doesn't really do enough for us to believe you can get that done. But we still believe this team would be at worst 500, at best above 500, and one of the top tier teams in the conference. What we didn't see was this team being one of the worst teams in the league. This Ravens squad is not a good football team. And it's sad to say because they have a lot of talent on this team. But the problem is they don't play as a team. And as long as these guys don't play as a team, they have no shot of winning football games on Sundays. I don't care who you're going up against. If you can't play as a team, you're not going to win. Talent can only take you so far. But when you've got talent and they're not on the same page, you're going to lose games. And that's exactly what has happened so far this season. it has been nothing short of disappointing. The defense has been disappointing damn near every week. And then offensively, they were doing their thing, although the offense has had problems, both with the offensive line being a problem in terms of pass protection and the play calling at the goal line. Todd Monken's play calling in these goal line situations have been terrible. Our goal line offense has been awful this year when we're one of the best, if not the best goal line offense in the league. We have not been great in executing in goal line situations. We have not been great at protecting our quarterback. We have not been great defensively. All of these factor into us being 1-5. Not to mention, the last 2 games, you've been missing your franchise quarterback in Lamar Jackson, who suffered a hamstring injury in the loss against the Kansas City Chiefs. So no Lamar over these last 2 games. And things went from bad to worse. You had a bad defense, but without Lamar, you have a bad offense too. In the 4 games Lamar Jackson played, the Ravens offense averaged about 33 points a game. They were a top 3 offense in the league through 4 games. Even though they had that loss against Kansas City, they were still a top 3 offense, averaging about 33 points a game with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. At that time, Lamar was leading the league in touchdown passes as well as passer rating. He was top 10 and top 5 in nearly every quarterback statistic at that moment. So Lamar was still doing his thing, even though the team was 1-3, and the offense wasn't an issue, even though this team was 1-3. The problem was the defense. But then the worst possible scenario happened. Injuries started happening. Even though the defense was poor, you still lost some of your main guys, like a Marlon Humphrey, like a Kyle Hamilton, like a Roquan Smith. And then on the offensive side, you lose the general. You lose your franchise quarterback in Lamar Jackson. And things just plummet because your offense goes from averaging 33 points a game with Lamar to averaging 6.5 points a game with Cooper Rush mainly as quarterback, and then towards the end, you had Tyler Huntley. So in 2 games, your offense has put up 13 points. That is the situation we find ourselves in right now. The Ravens are currently in their bye week. They will not be playing football tomorrow because tomorrow is week 7 and the Ravens are on their bye week. The Ravens will return to play football in week 8 as they take on the Chicago Bears. So, we're at 1-5 right now. This is the reality of the situation. What's next? Where do we go from here? Like I said, we don't play this week. We've got a game next week against the Chicago Bears. Based on some of the reports that are coming out, Lamar Jackson is expected to return this week. He's expected to be at practice and he's expected to play this upcoming, or not this, well, today's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday, so week 7 still going on, but you know, it is what it is. He's expected to come back to play against the Chicago Bears. Lamar is expected to return. Even though the team is 1-5, Lamar Jackson is expected to return. So that's number 1. Number 2, despite the fact that the Ravens are 1-5, they still have a really good chance, odds-wise, at both making the playoffs and winning the division. I do not know how those odds are so high, but their odds are very close to winning the division. Pittsburgh still has the lead, but a lot of pundits say the Ravens have an opportunity to steal that division. They also have a high opportunity to make the playoffs. And I think there's 3 factors that do play into that. Number 1, the return of Lamar Jackson, of course. Number 2, the Ravens' schedule moving forward. The toughest part of the Ravens' schedule was that first 6 games before the bye week because you were going up against playoff teams in 5 of those first 6 games. And of course, 2 of those were against Buffalo and Kansas City teams you do struggle with. So the expectations was that the Ravens were going to struggle against that or be able to match up and be around 500 or better. But we end up being in a 1-5 situation with our quarterback getting hurt and not playing in the last 2 games. So moving past the bye week, when you take a look at their schedule is not immensely hard. I think they play only 2 playoff teams moving forward. In terms of playoff teams from last year, that'd be the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers. Everybody else are not playoff teams. And in terms of the matchups you're going to be facing off against, you got teams like the Dolphins and teams like the Jets are going to play there. So it's not a lot of tough games. In terms of records, in terms of matchups, these aren't difficult games. Your 3 most difficult games will be the 2 games against Pittsburgh and the 1 game against Green Bay. Everything else is very winnable. Past that, your next most difficult game, you can choose between Cincinnati with Joe Flacco or the New England Patriots. Make your choice there. Or maybe even the Chicago Bears if you feel the need to bring them up. But the point of the matter is, the Ravens' schedule heavily favors them if this team gets healthy and they get Lamar Jackson back. So the first reason is Lamar Jackson coming back. The second reason is the schedule. The third reason is the AFC this year. This is a very weak conference this year. The way we expected the AFC to go has not been going that way. If you actually take a look at who's at the top, you'd be surprised to see teams up there that you didn't expect to be at the top. It feels like we've fallen back to 2007 or something like that. Because you got the New England Patriots up there. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers looking like that team. Although Pittsburgh has always been a playoff team, people kind of threw them up there to be one of those teams that could really compete. You got the Colts as a legitimate Super Bowl contending team, as if Peyton Manning's still there. So the AFC this year has been very weird. You've got Kansas City that's 500. Buffalo is actually second place in their division right now, right behind the New England Patriots. It's all sorts of chaos right now. The AFC South looks to be the best division in this conference when we all thought it'd be the worst division. Everything is chaotic right now, and it seems to be a wide open conference. Although Kansas City will always get the benefit of the doubt because they are who they are. But the conference seems wide open. So when it comes to playoff spots, an opportunity is still there for a team like Baltimore, because it seems like this year, if you get 10 wins in this conference, you can make the playoffs. 10 wins could get you into the postseason. And depending on how things go, 9 wins might be able to get you into the postseason. So in terms of where the Ravens go next, they got to get healthy. They've got to get healthy. They've got to get Lamar Jackson back and then go from there. 3 things favor them. Getting their quarterback back, who is one of the best in the game, one of the Elite Four. You get him back, who again, career-wise, has won over 70% of his games. Historically, he's one of the most winningest quarterbacks in the history of this game. So you get that guy back to restart your offense. You've got a schedule that heavily favors you because you're only going up against 2 playoff teams moving forward, and then you're in a conference this year that's incredibly weak. If you can get to 9, maybe 10 wins, you could take a playoff spot. So with all 3 of these aspects in mind, what's next for the Ravens? Well, the season's technically not over yet. You get your quarterback back, you get healthy, you get a Roquan Smith back, you see if you can finally get Patrick Ricard out there for the offense because this running game desperately needs his blocking. If you can get your pieces back coming out of the bye week healthy, you have a chance to go on a run. With a schedule that favors you in a conference that is weak this year, the Ravens can still turn this around. Now, will they? That remains to be seen. But the possibility is there. So, the Baltimore Ravens, they are currently 1-5 on the season. Now what? What do you need to do? Get healthy, try to go on a run, and see what happens. In a conference this week, and a schedule that favors you, and with a quarterback that's one of the Elite Four, the possibilities are there. That's why this team's still favored to win the division, or highly favored to compete with the Steelers to win the division, and that's why the Ravens still have a great shot to make the playoffs, according to the pundits. So we will just have to wait and see if the Ravens will be able to pull this off. But the opportunity's right in front of them. It's terrible that they're in this situation, and it's honestly depressing as a Ravens fan to wake up and know that this team is 1-5 and nothing will change in terms of coaching staff. No one's been fired, no significant changes have been made. But here we sit, they're 1-5, they're in their bye week. We have to see what happens moving forward. Another thing that they could definitely look to do is add some talent, but that goes toward GM. So if EDC wants to add some talent to this defense, especially that pass rushing unit that's non-existent, it'd be great. But ultimately, get healthy, do your best against a favorable schedule and win those games. Get to 10 wins and you might be able to make the playoffs and you completely turn this season around. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. We'll be discussing it throughout the week. Obviously, the Ravens are looking to try to make a move before they come out of their bye week. You hope to get Lamar Jackson back. You hope to get Roquan Smith back. You hope to get Patrick Ricard back. You hope to get healthy in time to go on a run. We'll have to see what happens with the Ravens, but season's not over quite yet. The opportunity is there. Question is, will they be able to capitalize? We'll just have to wait and see. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Be sure to stay safe, and peace out.